not every prayer has words. In the heart of ancient Egypt, there were masters who deeply understood this. They gathered at sunset, before the line that separates worlds, and they breathed. Nothing was said, no sound, no gesture, no request. Only the air coming in, staying, leaving, disappearing. Each cycle an offering, each pause a reverence. These initiates were called the silent ones of Akhenaten, and their practice was more than ritual. It was code, an alignment between the visible and the invisible, between the body and the cosmos. Time passed, voices multiplied, but their silence echoes. Today, you are about to know what they knew and what they breathed. Breathe with the sky tinged with gold. When the sun touches the horizon, something awakens. If you listen closely, you might notice the universe still responds to those who know how and when to breathe. Most people breathe to survive, but the ancients breathed to align. Today, we hardly notice the air coming in. We live breathless, trapped in routines that disconnect us from the essential. There is a subtle anxiety hovering over the world, an invisible noise that keeps us out of rhythm, off center, out of ourselves. The Egyptian initiates knew the body is an instrument, and breath is the tuning. That's why every time the sun set over Akhenaten, a group of masters would walk toward the horizon. They would stop, close their eyes, and let the breath of life become geometry. They were known as the silent ones, not for lack of speech, but for total presence. They understood that twilight was not merely the end of the day, it was an opening, a portal. Fragmented records from the papyrus of Ani and inscriptions in Luxor suggest that this moment, the last light of day, was considered a point of energetic fusion between two planes, the Ka, the vital energy, and the Ba, the soul's consciousness. By breathing in that moment, they weren't seeking answers, they sought attunement. They believed that when the sun touches the horizon, the world enters a state of listening, and only those who breathe with a quiet heart are able to listen back. It is this state, deep, rare, and restorative, that you are about to experience. But first, it's necessary to understand why falling out of rhythm makes us sick, and how the right breath, at the right time, rebuilds your harmony with the whole. Have you ever stopped to notice how you breathe when you're afraid? Or when you're anxious, distracted, exhausted? Most of us don't breathe. We survive. We inhale just enough to go on, but not enough to feel. And in this way, without realizing it, we drift away from ourselves. We live in emotional apnea, holding in pain, trapping anguish, choking on words we never say. And the body feels it, the soul senses it, the world responds. The ancients knew that disharmony begins in the breath. When we breathe out of the natural rhythm, everything around us starts to fall out of alignment. Emotions waver, the mind fragments, the body falls ill. It's as if we're out of the music of creation, playing sacred instruments with trembling, untuned fingers. And maybe that's why so many seek healing, but don't find it. Because it's not just about seeking, but aligning. The silent ones of Akhenaten didn't seek miracles. They knew that the true miracle is alignment, that a breath taken with intention at the exact moment can be more powerful than 1,000 words. And this moment exists. It happens every day, when the sky begins to bleed in shades of gold and purple, and the sun, silent, touches the edge of the world. It is in this instant that the universe listens most clearly, and maybe it's waiting for you. They say there was a disciple among the silent ones who never spoke his name, nor was it necessary. His gesture said it all. He walked every day to the same bank of the Nile with bare feet touching the still warm sand, his body covered by a light robe, and his eyes always turned westward. He brought no offerings, he made no requests. He carried only a silent certainty. The sun would know what to do. When the horizon began to catch fire in shades of copper and scarlet, he would stop, close his eyes, and breathe. 4 counts, like someone playing an invisible harp. Inhalation, retention, exhalation, pause. Nothing more. Others said he had gone mad, that it was pointless to stand there every day, just breathing. But he knew, he felt. Little by little, synchronicities began to happen. Even before he needed to ask, the answer would come. The right people appeared. Paths opened. The world anticipated him. It was as if the universe knew where he wanted to go, because he had learned to breathe in the rhythm of creation. One night, at the end of one of these rituals, he wrote on a tablet, "When my breath became the sun itself, reality began to follow in my footsteps." And then he disappeared. Not because he had gone away, but because he became part of the sunset itself. Some say that, on certain twilights, when everything falls silent, it is possible to feel the world breathing with him. I need you to understand that the breathing of the masters was not random. It followed a sacred structure. 4 counts. For movements, for portals. Inhale, retain, exhale, pause. This pattern was not just a physiological technique. It was a universal language, replicated in the foundations of the temple, in the music of the spheres, in the proportions of the pyramids, geometry in the form of air. In ancient Egypt, this rhythm was considered the frequency of harmony. It was called the square of foundation, a symbol that united matter and spirit. Plato also described this sequence as part of the well-ordered soul, and in the Hermetic texts, there are passages pointing to breath as a mirror of creation, for elements, for seasons, for lunar phases, for counts. To breathe outside of this was understood as a break in alignment, and when the breath falls out of sync, the body feels it. The mind becomes disorganized. The soul scatters. But something extraordinary happens when you fall into rhythm. Your heart slows down. Heart rate variability stabilizes. Brainwaves enter an alpha state, the same state associated with deep meditation, creativity, and cellular healing. You feel as if your entire body is a tuned instrument. And it is even more powerful when this breathing happens at sunset. At that moment, the Earth's electromagnetic field undergoes subtle changes. The light shifts in frequency. Nature grows silent. It's as if the planet itself holds its breath. And you, by breathing within the code of 4 counts, become part of that cosmic silence. Want to feel it in practice? Try this. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and pause for 4. Repeat for a few minutes, watching the sky tinged with gold. Feel how your body responds, as if every cell were remembering something ancient, something that's always been there, but was asleep. It's simple, but not common, because the common is to survive. The sacred is to breathe with intention. In ancient Egypt, sunset was not just the end of the day. It was the moment when Ra, the sun god, crossed the horizon to enter the invisible world. It was the sacred in-between time, the exact moment when light leaves matter and pours into what cannot be touched. The masters knew this, and so they waited, not to watch the sunset, but to breathe with it. During those few minutes, modern science has already confirmed the frequency of light changes. The intensity of the Earth's electromagnetic field fluctuates. The temperature drops. The body enters a natural state of transition. Everything invites listening. Everything quiets. It's as if the planet, for a brief moment, is suspended, awaiting a subtle command. It is in this space between worlds that conscious breath becomes a portal. As you inhale with presence, you draw light inward. As you hold, you sustain the vibration of creation. As you exhale, you release what no longer vibrates with you. And in the pause, you dissolve into the whole. The silent ones knew this was the moment of passage. To breathe in this window was like leaving a code inside the matrix of the universe. An unspoken instruction, yet understood by the subtle forces of existence. And when this is done with intention, with a calm heart, with feet grounded on the earth and eyes turned to the horizon, something happens. The world responds differently. Not because you spoke, but because you aligned. That is the secret. The universe does not hear words. It listens to frequency. And the frequency of your breath is your purest energetic signature. It might seem magical, but what the ancients knew is now beginning to be explained. Modern science has already confirmed that, at dusk, the body naturally enters a transitional state. The light of sunset, especially the reddish spectrum, activates the ocular receptors responsible for melatonin production, regulating the circadian rhythm and inducing deep relaxation. It is in this state that alpha brainwaves become predominant frequencies associated with meditation, creativity, and access to the unconscious. Studies also show that during this period, the Earth's electromagnetic field undergoes measurable variations. The Schumann frequency, which is like the planet's heartbeat, resonates more intensely at the end of the day. Conscious breathing at that moment synchronizes our bioelectric field with that of the Earth, as if the body and the planet were in resonance. This practice is not exclusive to Egypt. Texts from the Corpus Hermeticum already indicated that breath is the means by which the soul interacts with the world. Plato, when describing the soul as a harmony, was also referring to internal rhythms that needed to be maintained. And there are records that the priests of Luxor and Karnak spent years training breathing patterns before they could speak the names of the deities, for according to them, the vibration of the voice had to be born from aligned breath. Voles Budge, a renowned Egyptologist, documented breathing practices in the funerary rituals of the Book of the Dead, which indicated that eternal life began with the mastery of breath. Not by chance, the Egyptian term for breath, neshem, was also associated with the word spirit. All of this points to the same key. Breath was not just biology, it was language, it was ritual, it was a portal. And by doing it at the right time, with presence, intention, and reverence, you cease to merely exist, and finally begin to vibrate in harmony with what is eternal. Breathing is the most common act of life, but the masters taught us that, when done with intention, at the right moment, it becomes divine language. It's not theory, it's practice, it's a path. Each breath taken at sunset, in the rhythm of the sacred, is a way of telling the universe, I am here, awake, aligned. You don't need grand temples, nor elaborate rituals. Your body is the temple. Your presence is the altar. Your breath is the offering. Start today. At the next twilight, stop for a few minutes. Be silent. Breathe in the rhythm of 4 counts. Feel. Don't expect to feel something magical. The miracle is in becoming the channel. And by repeating this simple gesture for consecutive days, something changes. Not in the world out there, but in the way you inhabit it. As Plotinus, the Neoplatonist philosopher, once said, return to yourself and look. If you do not yet see yourself as beautiful, imitate the sculptor of a statue. Remove the excess, smooth what is crooked, and thus the divine will shine within you. Breath is the chisel. The moment of the sun is the inspiration. You are the work being sculpted. To breathe with the sun is not a habit. It is a return, a remembrance of who you are. Before time, before name, before noise. Remember, breathing with the sun is like signing your name in the light of day and declaring to the whole, I have awakened. If this message touched something in you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Comment below, I breathe with the sun, and set your intention before universal consciousness. Send this video to someone who needs to remember who they are. Click on the screen now to watch another transformative video we lovingly prepared for you. Because sometimes, all it takes is a spark of presence at the right moment for the world to begin to reorganize around you.